Joseph Smith claimed that he translated the Book of Mormon from a set of golden plates that were given to him by an angel. After the translation was complete, Joseph said he returned the plates to the angel, making them unavailable today for examination. This account may come across as a little too convenient and lead you to wonder, is there any evidence that the plates existed at all? Introduced at the beginning of every copy of the Book of Mormon are the testimonies of the 3 and 8 witnesses. These 3 witnesses, Oliver Cowdery, David Whitmer, and Martin Harris, wrote that they were shown the plates by an angel, who also attested to them that Joseph Smith translated the book by the gift and power of God. It would be easy to say that these 3 men conspired with Joseph Smith, only giving their testimony of the angel and the gold plates to perpetuate a scam. But that explanation loses its strength when we consider that all 3 men eventually left the church, having at some point fallen out with Joseph Smith. Oliver Cowdery and Martin Harris later rejoined the church after Smith's death, but David Whitmer would remain estranged for the rest of his life. Despite their falling out with Smith, all 3 maintained their testimony of having seen the angel and the gold plates. In fact, David Whitmer famously went out of his way on numerous occasions to give interviews and correct newspapers he felt had misrepresented his testimony. Once he wrote, "Those who know me best know that I have always adhered to that testimony, and that no man may be misled or doubt my present views in regards to the same. I do again affirm the truth of my statements." The fact that these men never wavered in their testimony of the plates dismantles the claim of collusion. After all, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain by maintaining their testimonies after falling away from the church. And yet, each, independently of the others, insisted that their published testimony was true, whatever their disagreements with Joseph Smith may have been. With collusion being highly unlikely, others have questioned whether the 3 witnesses could have been hallucinating. Some sources quote the witnesses as saying that they saw the plates with their spiritual eyes, or with the eye of faith, which some take to mean they only imagined the plates and the angel. But that sort of language is scriptural in nature, and doesn't automatically imply hallucination. Rather, it means that the witnesses were prepared for a visionary experience in the scriptural sense. David Whitmer made this clear in an interview published in 1888. "Of course we were in the spirit when we had a view of the plates, for no man can behold the face of an angel except in a spiritual view, but we were in the body also, and everything was as natural to us as it was at any time." Whitmer insisted that he was not under any hallucination during the vision, saying, "I saw with these eyes." One might still not be convinced by the witness given by Cowdery, Harris, and Whitmer, thinking it sounds too ethereal with an angel showing them the plates. This is where the testimony of the 8 witnesses comes in, as they were given the simple, straightforward opportunity to handle the plates directly. No angel arrayed in glorious light is described by Oliver Cowdery. They simply wrote that, "As many of the leaves as the said Smith has translated, we did handle with our hands, and we also saw the engravings thereon, all of which has the appearance of ancient work and of curious workmanship." Once again, collusion is unlikely, given that 3 of the 8 witnesses were either excommunicated or left the church. And as with the 3 witnesses, they never recanted their testimony as published in the Book of Mormon. To explain the testimony of the 8 witnesses, some think that Joseph Smith fabricated a set of tin or lead plates that he used to trick them with. However, there is no credible historical evidence that Joseph Smith somehow faked a set of plates, let alone that he had the wherewithal to do so. Martin Harris, before he became one of the 3 witnesses, held the plates while they were in a wooden chest, and knew that they must have been either lead or gold, but wryly added that Joseph had not enough credit to buy so much lead. This theory also ignores the testimony of those who saw the angel. If we only had the testimony of the 3 witnesses, you might be able to dismiss their vision as a hallucination. And if we only had the testimony of the 8 witnesses, you might be able to say that they were being tricked by bogus plates. But combined, their testimonies support the claim that Joseph not only had plates with the appearance of gold, but also that those plates were divinely given. If the official testimonies of the 3 and 8 witnesses are not enough, there are also the testimonies left by other secondary witnesses who encountered the plates, For example, Josiah Stoll testified in 1830 that he was one of the first to handle the plates under a linen cloth when Joseph returned from finally obtaining them in 1827. Another witness was Mary Whitmer. According to sources close to her, Mary was shown the plates by the angel Moroni as she was milking cows. This happened completely independent of Joseph Smith or the others involved in the translation of the plates. Other women, including Lucy Mack and Emma Smith, handled the plates and other artifacts Joseph brought home. Emma, for example, at one time related, "I once felt of the plates as they thus lay on the table, tracing their outline and shape. They seemed to be pliable like thick paper, and would rustle with a metallic sound when the edges were moved by the thumb, as one does sometimes thumbing through the edges of a book." The combined weight of these secondary witnesses further complicates the arguments that the plates were either imagined or fabricated, since these witnesses include those who, independent of Joseph Smith, reported encounters with the plates and the angel. Thanks to all of these different accounts, we have a pretty good idea of what the plates were like. The eyewitnesses described the plates as being gold or having the appearance of gold, but it's important to keep in mind that the plates most likely were not pure 24-karat gold. Not only would the plates have been too heavy if they were, but they also would have been too soft to write on. The witnesses reported that the plates weighed approximately between 40 to 60 pounds. Josiah Stoll also added the intriguing detail that he noticed a slight green hue on the corner of the plates. This reinforces the argument that the plates were likely composed of a Mesoamerican copper and gold alloy called tumbaga, which would account for the weight and the green hue, which was likely the result of the oxidation of the copper. We also know that the dimensions of the plates were about 6 or 7 inches by 8 inches, and were about as thick as common tin or pliable paper, according to the witnesses. On both sides of the leaves of the book were written engravings or characters, and 3 D-shaped rings held the plates together, with a large portion of them being sealed physically in some manner. The reported composition and dimensions of the plates by the witnesses are all consistent with each other, and were given at different times and on different occasions, with just slight variation. This is further evidence against claims of collusion among the witnesses and reinforces their credibility. From a historical perspective, it is difficult to disavow the reality of the gold plates. There is simply too much compelling documented evidence attesting to their existence. It's safe to say that between the years 1827 to 1830, Joseph Smith had in his possession a set of plates that were seen, hefted, felt, and examined by a number of witnesses. People today are free to disbelieve the witnesses if they like, but they cannot accuse them of fraud or insincerity based on any credible historical evidence. This is why the respected historian of early Mormonism, Richard Bushman, once remarked, "Most of the detailed sources about the coming forth of the Book of Mormon were written by believers, and to follow them too closely infuses a narrative with their faith. Secular historians are, therefore, more inclined than Mormons to suppress source material from Joseph's closest associates." Or in other words, people are free to disbelieve these witnesses, but they must still acknowledge the picture that we see from the historical evidence. There is nothing in these sources that compel an alternative view. So even if we don't have the plates available today, there is evidence attesting that Joseph Smith did in fact have them, and that he got them from an angel, just as he claimed. Thanks for watching this episode of Evidences of the Book of Mormon. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and help us make more videos by donating. Thanks.